The roadmap for India to become the global manufacturing hub is already set. Economists have estimated that it would take a couple of years to reach the pre-COVID economic status. But with the current tempo, the Indian engineering industry might arrive at the point in less than 6 months. Let's talk to Mr. Vivek Nanivadekar, Executive Director, Fibro India Precision Products Limited, Private Limited, and let's see what's his opinion about the Indian manufacturing sector. Welcome, Mr. Vivek, for this fireside chat.
Yeah, hello everybody. Thank you for inviting me for this session. I believe we will have a question answer session, so please you can throw questions. I will try to answer in my capacity. Okay.
Definitely, Mr. Vivek. So let me have your thoughts on the how is Fibro India dealing with the current business environment. I'm talking about the post-pandemic business environment.
Okay, yeah. I would go back a little during pandemic also, because sure. We did carry out certain exercises within the organization and the external customers as well. And, to maintain the motivation and the spirit of the whole team. So internally, we used to have a regular meetings and, we even threw the questions to them and we asked everybody that how did they spend time, and they were quite positive, Similarly, taking this situation, we conducted the product launch online. See, basically our customers for standard parts is a basically tool designer, and a tool designer doesn't have a time, to spend for attending the seminars or webinars. But because of the pandemic, they were at home and we received a quite encouraging, overwhelming response. And we really did the product launch. And as a result, when the pandemic, when our lockdown over and when we restarted, we started getting the inquiries and also we received the orders for the same product which we launched. Okay, so that was that. So during the after the pandemic, everybody was a bit cautious about everything, and what happened is the supply chain. Though customers were ready, though demand was there, but there was not enough supply. So because of that supply chain, the whole link got disturbed. Having overcome that, today also now if we are talking about it today, then there is the problems is that, as you know, the raw material prices are going up. One reason is a pandemic, and second is also, the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Because of that, the raw material prices practically every day, steel or bronze, particularly non-ferrous metals, everyday prices are changing. Because of that, that there is a certain uncertainty, but still the demand is there. People are working, all industries are in Zoom. And for example, I would tell you that this year now, which will be closing in a couple of days time, we are 35% plus over the previous year. Okay.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So, and now here we are looking forward to maintain the same, if not more, the same growth for the coming financial year, that is 2022-23. Okay. So overall, it is quite positive, positivity in the market, and hope. The whatever the fourth phase of Omicron or the Ukraine Russia doesn't get further extended, it gets under control, not the whole world doesn't get into that, and then everything should be fine. I think we are quite hopeful about that. Yeah.
So you talked about you are at 35% level, current level from the previous one. So how did you plan to achieve? How have you achieved this during this pandemic? And of course, going forward, what is the future course for your company?
All right. See, the business growth comes in only from the two sectors. You increase the customer or increase the product offering. So increasing the customer base was not possible because there were traveling restrictions. So we increased our product offering. The first year of the pandemic, we used it for the development of the new, new products for the market, understanding their need. For example, the aerial cam units. Rather, we are the first one or the only one today, if I am not wrong, to manufacture those aerial cams in India. Otherwise, most of them were importing from Japan, China, Vietnam, and all. So not the full range, but major, the fast moving now the cam units we started making in India, and we started offering that, and we received a good response for that. So similarly, there were other few products which are required by the Indian tool makers, which we manufactured. So the growth, basically this growth came from these new products than the new customers.
If I see business across the world and are still struggling how to get things on track, how could India rise up to this challenge of supply chain?
Well, it is very difficult to say, but you know, there are certain opportunities also in this supply chain. Means because of the restrictions to by the whole Western world onto Russia and Ukraine, those buyers have turned to India. So the Indian raw material suppliers, they prefer to export than to supply the local market. This is one of the reasons where the prices are going up and there is a shortage in the market. Okay, so they are taking the advantage of the situation in the market, and nothing wrong in it that. Okay, because you cannot overnight, you cannot increase the production.
Right. Another important questions that I want to ask you is, you know, sir, machine tool market in India is expected to grow by $1.9 billion by 2024 at a CAGR of around 12 to 13%, according to the data. However, if I believe as far as the numbers are concerned, 47% of the machineries are imported. Yes. I mean, we have Atmanirbhar Bharat, we have Make in India. Obviously, these two concepts are there to help people getting more in terms of using the domestic manufacturing or domestic machineries into their system. But still, we have 47%. So that area is a kind of a concern for each and everyone. How do you address this? What is your thought process on it?
See, what happened is machine tool is an engineering capital goods where you need large investment, you need a large gestation period, you need a large intellectual pool, you know, and so it is not that that you invest and you get a result immediately. And when there is a recession in the market, most of these OEMs or even the medium scales, they first stop buying capital goods. Okay, so in the recession, the machine tools is the first one to get affected and the last one to revive. Well, when the user sees that, okay, now things are okay, now let me think of expansion, now let me think of buying the machine, you know. So this is a vicious circle particularly, and somehow this can be broken. As I said, only the growth will come from the product offering and the market customer offering. Quite a few Indian machine tool manufacturers are exporting machines outside, but I would say it is not still sizable or considerable. And when the things are going good, then the Indian machine tool manufacturer prefers to supply in the domestic market than to the export market, because he's a customer next door, you know. So I don't know. This is the vicious circle where the machine tool industry is stuck up. We have to break this circle. Because, for example, today we are not making no Indian CNC controller is manufacturer in India. Okay. And the machine tool, when you are buying, sourcing the imported Fanuc or Siemens controllers or whatever it is, it depends upon how many machines you are going to produce, how many you are going to buy. So it's on a volume game. So today, still, we are not into the really volume game. We are not used to the volume game somehow.
But
For
what is the
reasons.
reason why we are not into volume game? Is it are we behind those? I mean, when we talk about India is going to be manufacturing hub, it's just a talk, or we are actually moving ahead in that direction? And when I raise a concern like this, how are we even matching up?
Yeah, that's a good question. See, I tell you, the most of the machine tool manufacturers in the country, they are entrepreneurs, they are engineers basically. They are basically technical person than the businessman.
Yeah.
So they're looking at the business particularly. So the first priority comes to their domestic customers, so that at least this customer does not import the normal machines from the outside. Whereas, so they do not get time to get into the high-tech machine tool manufacturing, because at the high-tech machine tool, the customers are limited, And as I said in the beginning, customers are limited, but we have to do a lot of investment. We have to wait for a longer time, but when the final result comes out, and at the same time, the local domain customer also, he thinks, let me go to the proven technology. So he also is not willing to experiment with the domestic machine tool supplier. So he prefers the imported one.
Imported one, right?
Imported one, right? Secondly, here most of these what do you call the OEMs or the end users, large, they are coming from the outside, their investment. So they prefer, when they try to source the component from the domestic supplier, they prefer to have the known devil, as I said, the known machine. So they sometimes insist that their supplier that they should buy this particular machine, so that we know the quality, quantity, and everything will be all right. That is another.
So they are more relied on the known devils than the unknown one.
Exactly. That is the situation. So now what is happening is, so as an answer to that, now many machine tool manufacturers from the outside, from Japan or Europe, now they are coming to India, they are making in India. Now you can say their machines are made in India.
Right. So they have used that channel to use Make in India as one of their propaganda, and then you obviously supply it to the domestic with the same quality.
Right. But at the same time, they will be also exporting those machines outside from India to other countries, to the other developed countries. Okay.
So is it a good or bad? I mean, how do you see this situation? It's like a catch-22 situation, right?
Yeah, it's not really the catch-22, because see, you look at the long-term and a short-term benefit. Short-term benefit, that is definitely an advantageous situation. India needs a foreign exchange because, few years back, our Indian forex reserve was around $300 billion, and now it is more than 600 or 650 billion dollars.
Exactly. Right.
So that is very much required if you have to run the Indian economy. So that is possible because of these, our exports have increased. And last week only there was a news that we have touched the
exactly
400 billion target. So that's a good thing. So it is definitely required for in a short-term benefit. This will certainly benefit to the industries, whether we will get to know the learnings of it, and that will help us in the next 5 to 10 years to make our own the products and to compete into the global market. So in the long term, this is going to be benefit if we really pick up that technology. Today, the most of the automobile, they had the order, but they could not support it because of the chip shortage.
Correct.
That is noticed by the government, and they are putting more resources into that, so that we start making the chip manufacturing. So it will take certain time. It will be. So I strongly believe in India, make in India growth story, India global manufacturing. But you have to give certain time to that.
Okay, so Vivek, how cutting tool industry are geared up, and what are the new technologies they are bringing in to support this growth? In fact, how what about Fibro? What are the new products been lined up by the company?
Yeah, see, I will tell you. If you look at the report published by Tagma, you know the also the tooling industry. Basically, see, we have two verticals. One is the standard parts for the die and mold, and second is a rotary table for automation and cutting. Okay. So growth in die and mold industry will give us a growth in the standard parts. Now what has happened is it's the whole range of standard parts which we are making in India, and also not only for Indian customers, we are exporting outside out of India as well. Okay? Even we are exporting our standard parts to even China as well. Okay. So as we see the demand into the domestic market, we work very closely with the domestic customers, and when we see they are the bottlenecks of particular area, then we take the development of that particular component part in India and we supply them. Okay. Like as I said, the aerial cam units, we were the first one and the only one today to manufacture the wide range of cam units for standard parts. Similarly, on the rotary table for automation, cam driven rotary tables, what we make for automation industry, Fibro is the first one to localize that in India. Now, and it is not only for India, we are exporting back to Germany as well as to China, and wherever our Fibro subsidiaries are there, we are exporting that. Now we are planning to enlarge the product range into the rotary table and as well as the standard parts into that. We have started developing the NC rotary tables for automation industry. You know, so there is a huge scope as we see the demand in the market. Then we take up that development, and whatever we make here, that is that we cater to the both domestic as well as the global market needs.
Okay, so what is your total domestic, or what is your? I would rather put it this way: what is your total export share to overall business growth in India?
Our total exports is less than 40%. Okay. Okay. So 60% we cater to the domestic market. Yeah. Okay. And I feel that is the right combination for any Indian company to grow.
Okay, now there are a lot of discussion around Industry 4.0. But what would be the first smart step for the metal cutting industry and the machine manufacturing companies, according to you? They should take it.
Yeah, many local machine tool manufacturing industry, they have taken up steps toward the Industry 4.0. First is the digital manufacturing. You know?
Right. Right.
See, there are two things. I mean, if we have to be a particular component, if we have to be competitive, then there are any component, there are only three elements. One is the raw material, second is the processing cost, and third is the whatever the margin. So raw material prices are more or less globally, they are same with plus minus whatever the import duty plus minus 5%. So we have to have a control over the processing. In the processing becomes the operator and the machine combination. So if we have to reduce this ideal time and to increase the maximum output of the machine, then we have to take the digital output from every machine. Then we know which are the factors we are losing the time and how we can improve upon it by using fixturing or a semi-automation or a man and a machine combination. So from that point of view, also we have started implementing in our shop floor. Most of our critical machines, we have started getting the digital output. So to understand where we can increase the overall efficiency and then thus become a competitive in the market.
Okay. Okay. Lastly, any closing remarks on what can Indian tool makers learn from their past mistakes or in the current scenario? And how do you see the future of Indian manufacturing industry?
Yes, okay. There is a certainly growth into the Indian tool making sector. Now, what we need to do that there is a TAGMA is putting a lot of efforts into it, and coordinating the efforts and coordinating the all tool makers together and increasing them. But there is a still, again, as I said, like machine tool industry, in tool making industry also, there are the real technocrats have started this industry, or engineers are there, So it is not a business approach. They love that tool making. They love machine tool making, and that is why they are there. They like to do that. So where they lack is basically Indian tool makers. That traditionally our drawback was the delay, the lead time. And the customer needs in 2 months or 1 month, and our Indian tool makers can make only after 4 months. Because what used to happen is that the tool maker, he wants to make each and every component, and there was not a standardization. So where the Fibro pitches in, and where we offer the standard components, standard parts, the die making. So what is the main core strength of a die maker is to machine the cavity. So if he does that, and if he buys the standard parts, then the lead time comes down. I mean, if you look at even the automobile industry few years back, how much time it used to take the time for a new car model to come in the market. And now what is that? It is a less than a year the companies want to launch the new car in the market. That is possible that all supply chain has to be faster. So tool makers come as a part of that supply chain. So they have to be faster. And once they are into that, and that is how we see the growth into the standard part. Now, what happens when the standard parts were not made in the country, they used to import it, then the cost of the tooling used to go up and blah, blah, then they can't afford it. They got into the sector. When we started making those standard parts here, we are started offering, like, I mean, we say the German precision and crafted in India, that is how. So with this, I mean, we are helping tool makers, and we are educating also the small tool makers that they should go in for more standardization, and they should concentrate on their core strengths, so that the delivery will be faster. And we have seen that is happening in this current situation. It will take certain time again further. So that is one. Then secondly, the new technologies which they have to learn, where we can do that. Okay. Because today even the high-tech toolings are still imported. They are not being done. But so the education and the training has to happen in this sector, so that they catch up with the latest trend in the market, latest trend in the Europe or Japan for that matter, and they can do that. Okay. We are capable and we will do it. It is a matter of time that in a couple of years we will be global manufacturing up, I'm sure of.
All right. Thank you so much, Vivek, for joining us for this fireside chat at the Economic Times Metal Cutting and Metal Forming Series 2022. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much again. Thank you.